Okay, today we're going to look at determining or figuring out what the slope-intercept of equation of a line is. And we're just going to be given 2 points. So let's see if we can figure out what we're doing. Well, first remember that the slope-intercept equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so that's important to know. That's important to memorize and to have handy because it's used a lot with this stuff. And remember, slope equals m and equals, and we're going to figure out what the slope is from our points. Okay. All right, so the points that they give us for today are going to be points 1, 4, and the other point is 3, 6. Okay, so from those 2 points on the graph, we can figure out what the equation is going to be, and if we're lucky, we will also will graph this line. Okay, so, all right, so this is x over here, and this is y, and we'll just leave it like that for a minute. Okay, so first off is we need to figure out what the slope is. That's what m means, is the slope. And remember, we use the formula, or the trick is delta y over delta x. Now that's kind of advanced math right there. And that triangle, remember, is a Greek letter, the Greek letter delta. And it basically means how y changes and how x changes. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, first off, let's look at our points here. And what we're going to do is we're going to label these points so we can keep everything organized. That's always a good thing to do in math. So I'm going to call this one x. Actually, you know what? Let me change color here. That might help. We'll call this one x and this one y. And this one over here, we really can't call x and y again because we already used that. So we're going to call it x with the little 1 down here, and this one y with the little 1 down there. And that's just to keep it straight, okay? That's called a subscript, and it means you write the letter a little bit low, like that, okay? Just to keep it organized. It's nothing special about it. Okay, so let's go back here. And we're going to go, how does y change? Well, that's the difference between these two numbers. So you can start with you can start with the 4, you can start with the 6. It doesn't make any difference. I'm going to start with the 6 because it's bigger and maybe we can avoid negative numbers. So how y changes is 6 minus 4. I did y with the little 1 minus this y here. Now, here's the important part. If I start with this one over here with the y, I got to start with the same with this one over here with the x. See, if I start with this one with y and go to this one, then when I go to delta x, or how x changes, I have to start with this one x over there. Okay, so this will be 3, and that was x1, and regular x is 1. Okay, so good. I avoided some negative numbers, which is nice. So, of course, 6 minus 4 is 2, and 3 minus 1 is 2. And what's 2 over 2? Well, that's 1. So our slope works out to be everyday 1. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my slope-intercept equation here. And now we're going to start to substitute stuff in and see if we can find out what's going on. Okay. Now, if we can figure out what B is, do you remember what B is? B is where our line here, when we eventually write it as an equation based on these 2 points, B is where our line is going to cross this y-axis thing over here. So let's see what we can do. So we have y equals mx plus b. Well, we know what the m is. That's 1. So I'm going to put that in there now. It's an extra step, but that's okay. It keeps it clear. We just figured that out from the stuff we did right above this. Now we have x and y. Well, what are x and y? Well, they're right up here. And you can pick either point you want. You can pick this one, or you can pick this one here, or you can pick this one here. It doesn't make any difference. I'm going to pick the first one because it says x and y, so maybe that'll be clear. So y is 4, tells us right up there. All I'm doing is putting it in there. And then it says x is 1. Now remember, when numbers and letters are close, it's multiplies. So I'm going to use a parentheses, so that tells me I'm multiplying. And that's going to be 1 there. And then b, we don't know, but we're going to know what b is here in just a minute. So we have, let's see if we can figure out what b is. So we have 4 equals 1 plus b. Now I'm just going to eyeball this and say, well, what number plus 1 is 4? Well, that's 3, of course. So b equals 3. All righty, now that's going to be our y-intercept. That's where our line here is going to cross the y-axis. So now I'm going to write our equation. I'm going to take our slope-intercept equation here, and I'm going to put in our slope 1 and our b equals 3, and I'm going to write an equation with that. So let's put that right over here. Let's change color. So our equation is, our slope-intercept formula equation is y equals, what was our slope? 1 x plus, and our b down here was 3. Now remember, you don't need the 1. It's good for figuring stuff out, but when you get to the final stuff, you can drop the 1 and just put like this, x plus 3. Okay, so that means, let's see if we can graph our line. That means that our line is going to cross the y-axis at positive 3. Okay, so let's go up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. So we know it's going to cross right here. So that's 1 point. I'll make it nice and big. And what was our slope? Well, our slope was 1. So that means our slope is 1 over 1. That means we're going to go up. We're going to start at our point that we put on the graph right here. We're going to go up 1 and then over 1, kind of like climbing stairs. So let's see if we can do that. We're going to go up 1, that would be right here, and then over 1, which would be about, let me draw a couple over here. So up 1 and over 1 would be about right there. Oops. That's kind of a big point. You get the idea. And let's do one more. We go up 1 and over 1. So about right there. And now we have 3 points. Isn't that cool? And we can draw our line, something like that. Well, let me straighten it out there a little bit. Well, not the greatest, but well, that's about it. So that right there, we'll make this point a little bigger. That right there is a graphic representation of this formula, this equation right down here. And that's all there is to it. So remember, the big things to remember are always write down this formula at the top of your page on your scrap paper, something like that. And don't be intimidated. Just take it step by step. The first step is, well, geez, what the heck is the slope? Slope equals m equals, well, I don't know. Well, we can use our Greek formula, the delta stuff. If they give you 2 points, you use the delta stuff. With the triangles, 2 points, 2 triangles. You figure out your slope. We did that. Put it back into your formula, just like we did. Then we got to figure out, oh, geez, what's this b thing? Well, that's important because that gives us an anchor to start our graph. We just substituted in these points here, and we figured out b equals 3. So now we rewrote our equation, y equals x plus 3. We plotted our point. We figured out our slope, 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And then like when you're a little kid, you connected the dots and you have a nice line. Now, my recommendation is go over this problem a few times. You can use the video maybe once or twice, don't worry about it, but then try it on your own and maybe find a worksheet online or something and try these. Once you have a system, it's very, very easy. All right, and that's all there is to it. Thank you very much.